Hey, Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Today we're going to have Kevin Williamson. He's the new head men's basketball coach, Dakota Sate University Trojans. You guys are familiar with Kevin. He's over at St. Catherine and last year at Dakota Wesleyan, and now he's at Dakota State. Hang on, Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Cascade Hoops Talk, produced in the shadow of the beautiful Cascade Mountains and bringing the world NAIA basketball. One podcast at a time. Kevin Williamson is hired over at Dakota State this season. Very good year at Dakota Wesleyan last year. Took him to the round of 64. Came within an eyelash of defeating the Masters on their own home court. He moved over to Dakota State this season. He's building a team there right now. A lot of exciting things happening at Dakota State. He'll talk about it. They are putting a lot of money into their athletic program. You know, it's a bigger school. They've struggled the last couple of years, but I think Kevin Williamson's in a pretty good position to turn that around. So let's take a listen to Kevin Williamson talk some Dakota State University basketball. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Kevin Williamson on the phone. He's the new head men's basketball coach, Dakota State University Trojans. Welcome, Coach. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me on, Bill. I appreciate it.
So are you getting settled in there in Madison? Are they treating you okay?
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun on the move over here. It's been pretty embracing by the community. We've gotten involved in just about everything I get involved in this summer, it's been great getting the recruiting class signed in, and bought a house, and now can finally settle down. Never bought a house before, so a lot of kind of new firsts for me that are very fun, and moving to a place that I can put roots down in.
So last year you went over to Dakota Wesleyan. You had a lot of success there. Came within an eyelash and knocking off the Masters at their place. Now you moved over to Dakota State. I have a question for you. Isn't there a lot of advantages to running a program at a state school, a larger enrollment school like that?
Yeah, there's tons of them, and that was the real reason for the move coming over here was. There's a lot of reasons, but man, you talk about, having a 4,000 student enrollment, just flourishing academic programs where you're kind of on the cutting edge, the leading edge of technology-based stuff between, cybersecurity, computer science, AI engineering, AI that's being used in business development, just all those things that come with kind of the facets of being at a large state school. Were very, very enticing. The master plan going on with our facilities, and I think we're about to in January move into stage 3 of the 5 stages of the master plan, and they're about to start building a huge, soft top indoor training facility that can house softball games, and
oh wow,
another state of the art weight room in there, and full length track indoors. I guess it's supposed to be the largest one in the Midwest, and it is a huge space that we have for it. And I guess the groundbreaking is hopefully in January, based on the donations that we've already got set up for it, and just the growth of the school. At 8% growth rate over the last 7-8 years through COVID. It's just a lot of incredible advantages to be at, to where as a coach you can say, hey, this is a place I can have a lot of longevity at.
I want to talk to you about Trojan basketball, but before we do that, I got to talk to you about the Frontier. Obviously, it's the first year of the new and improved Frontier Conference, where basically the North Star blended with the Frontier. I did it last night. I got on Google Maps, and let's just put it this way: 13 hours was wild. Every time I put in, I don't care if it was Havre or Dillon or. Even Great Falls, even Billings was 10 hours. You have got some monster road trip. And folks, I'm talking one way. And this is in a car. This isn't in a bus. What do you think of, how are you going to survive these road trips?
Great question. we've gone through that. We'll find out. It's the first year of it. I don't know if very many other leagues in the country have I basically say it would be the three pretty wild road trips like these ones. Thankfully, two out of our three we've already booked our flights for,
Oh, okay.
and got them to be the same cost as a bus. The one that for sure we will be busing is during our winter break, luckily this year. So we don't have class going on during that. But the other ones we will be flying to. So a little bit like kind of living a low major Division I life where we're taking flights in conference, which is something that's very rare in the NAIA. And I think it does prepare you on that aspect for potential national tournament first round berths, which I don't know if a lot of the other leagues do that. And as you talked about, we came close to knocking off the Masters. That's a 25 to 30-hour road trip to get to California, and so we took the flight and did all that, and we were unprepared, for that type of flight and lag time and sitting in the airport like
Yeah.
the guys in the GPAC, your longest trip's 4.5 hours. So when you do have to get shipped out and go somewhere for a national tournament, you got to get used to taking those long flights and those layovers and everything else that goes along with that kind of travel. So this might help us in some way, shape, or form prepare for a national tournament first rounder when you go on the road potentially, and you got to fly to wherever and get used to it. This might help us potentially in that way. And we play back-to-back nights too, which is the same as the first two rounds of NAIA basketball in the national tournament. So it might be a good, helpful preparation for our conference to be able to win games in the national tournament, especially for those, at-large seeds that might have to hit the road for a long ways.
Well, yeah, I like your perspective because the road trip's not going away. The other thing too is, teams have to drive that far to get to you too. So
Yep.
it kind of works out. But just tell the guys to buy a really good pillow or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's only three of them. So it's not the whole year. It's not every weekend. There's three of them, and they're pretty well spaced out too. So, you've got the 2 and the 3 hour road trips like every other league in the country in between those. So you just got to kind of split it up and prepare yourself mentally for it, and get a good download program on your Netflix or your Hulu, and get ready to download a lot of movies.
So, Coach, the last couple of years in the North Star and Conference, Dakota State struggled a bit. You're definitely going to want to come in and tighten that up. What are two or three things that you feel like has to happen in this program to be competitive within the frontier?
Yeah, I think the main one is the same staple. I guess you'd say it's more of a staple now of my coaching because I did the same thing at Wesleyan, and same thing at St. Cat's, and I think we've got to start with first off our culture. You got to build the culture of the guys, the consistency, the consistent habits daily. I always use the old football coach Lou Holtz's acronym of WIN. What's important now, and trying to get the guys to see that there's the bigger picture than their self, and that everything they do can either help build up or help tear down your team and your culture, and try to build up those everyday culture habits. And so I think that you got to start there. And I think that's been, evident everywhere I've been, that's been a staple of what I do with my teams. We're also just in general, always just team built type concept. I don't have a lot of individual mentalities. I try to get rid of that early in the year. I try to, have a very balanced team. Even if you look at the Wesleyan team last year that I just had for the 1 year, our leading scorer was at 14 points a game and was a first team all-leaguer. And our seventh, eighth man, that was kind of the end of our rotation, was I think averaging 6-7. So, pretty balanced scoring overall. And then I think the next thing that everybody probably knows is they've played against us is our defense is going to be pretty locked in. And even last year I think we had the smallest team in the NAIA national tournament. If we're going off true heights, we had to be probably the smallest team in the national tournament going up against one of the biggest teams. And I think everybody knows the staple is going to be us defensive rebounding the ball and pushing it into transition. And you've got to be able to stay in front of us when we push. And I think that if you can do those couple of things right there, you're going to keep yourself competitive in every night. you're going to give yourself a chance to win every night. And I think if you do that, you come out on the positive end. If you kind of put those things together, the positive culture habits where you're playing as a team, playing for each other, and then you put in kind of those three basic concepts, I think you give yourself a pretty good chance to win every night, regardless of the road trip, the team you're playing. I think you give yourself a shot. And those are the kind of beliefs I want my team to be underneath mentally and be ready to go into every war with.
When with struggling in the North Star the last couple of years, what is the strength of the basketball culture at Dakota State, at the school
Yeah,
itself?
there's a deep rooted passion here for DSU men's basketball, and there's been quite a bit of success in it. The Gary Gardner years, he's had quite a bit of success in the NAIA up to, I think it was like 2017, 18. It's just been quiet. It's just been a little bit dormant for the last 6 or 7 years, and
Right.
it doesn't mean that it was bad. It's just kind of been fluttering around, and kind of going back and forth on, a winning year, then a down year, then a winning year and a down year. It's never just taken that next step up to get back to where, Coach Gardner had it at in 2015 and 17. And then before that as well, they've had quite a bit of success in the past. So I think it's there. I think they really want it to win. I think there's a deep rooted, like, look, we got this. This is going to happen now here in the town. And, most of my neighbors are former alumni here. And I think that's going to help bring them back in and keep them going. I live, I don't even know, half a mile away from our football field, maybe less. And so I'm right here in the middle of everybody, and starting to get to know them. And I think that they really want it to win, and I think it's very doable to win with the resources given, the facility upgrades that are taking place, that have already taken place, and my ability to go out and recruit nationally, and do that. I think that we'll be able to turn the corner and get it back to its winning ways.
Coach, I know one of the things you did last season over at Dakota Wesleyan was really lean heavily on the past success, the guys that were around, the players from the area, old coaches. Do you plan on doing something like that to try to, bring back some of that culture?
I don't know if I plan on doing that as much here, versus trying to rally up the alumni to kind of be the support network
Right.
that we need in town, because there is a lot of the DSU men's basketball alumni that are here, and I kind of want to be able to get them more onto kind of being our host families for our guys here.
Yeah.
And being able to kind of individually get to connect with them first, because there might not be as much notoriety as, maybe some of those former players, at D-Dub, where, in the last 3 or 4 years, these young guys, were coming back that were, all Americans just 5 years ago, and they're young, and, they can kind of bring a little bit of that rah-rah. A lot of our alumni that are still in town, a little bit older,
Oh, okay.
more into their mid 30s, 40s, 50s. And I think that can become more of an individual relationship, and where we bring them, the players to them a little bit more. And I already know that our alumni come to almost all of our home games here. As they're still a little bit younger, they can get a little bit more mobile. They can be here more often, like in the crowd, in the setting. I want my guys to be able to go out and be with them and get to know their families and help out around the house and help them, as things are needed. And I think that that's going to be just a little bit different exchange of a relationship there. And I think that's going to be our positive here.
So you've been out on the recruiting trail, building a team. How has that been going, and what has been your focus as you build this team?
Yeah, the main focus has been to go get players that fit. I always think fit is the biggest piece, and they've got to want to be here. They've got to want to be a part of our program. They've got to want to be a part of our values. I think that comes in first and foremost above talent, size, speed, whatever. Like if the buy-in isn't there, if the trust isn't there, if the love for what we got going on and what we're trying to do, our value systems aren't there, then it doesn't align. And so that was first and foremost. And I think we did an excellent job as a staff. I think we, got through all of the things we needed on the court, the little aspects here and there. But I do think that we banked on kind of a culture build here in year one, of the type of culture that we want, the type of kids that we want. I mean, I'll give you one great story. We signed a kid out of Arizona early, and he's a part of a state championship team this year in high school in Arizona. And I coached his brother
Oh,
for 3 years at Minnesota Duluth, and his brother was a Division II first team all regional player, just short of being an All American. And I mean, it's crazy to think I'm not that old, but I'm now recruiting former players as family members, like
yeah.
to come play for me. So, there's just some really cool just pieces now to like recruiting as I'm getting a little bit older, but still kind of young. Like, it's kind of getting fun here to recruit and be like, no, this guy doesn't fit us. This guy fits us. So, we went on that. We got decent size in our recruiting class. We didn't need a lot of size, but we got decent size in positions that we needed. And then we've got a couple of really special guards that I think are going to be good. But this will be, Billy, this will be the biggest team I've ever had as a head
Okay.
coach. And I've had a couple of big teams when I was at St. Cat's. I had 2 years worth of really like huge teams physically, but like this is the tallest, longest overall team I've ever had as a head coach. And it's, even if I think back to Division II, it's got to be one of the top five, overall teams I've ever had in terms of its total size and depth.
Oh, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Madison just for a moment. It's just north of
Yeah.
I-90 there. You're not too far from Sioux Falls. Talk about, how your family has settled in that area. And don't you have some kind of family connection back there?
Yeah, so Madison's a small town, but it's just gorgeous, beautiful. A lot of pride and ownership of the neighborhoods and the communities here, which is one of the things I really valued when I came back up here and saw it. My grandmother is from here, from the
Okay.
Franklin Township. Yep, and that was the tie to it. And my great grandparents lived here, and were farmers here in the area. I wanted this job a couple of years ago when it was open, and I went for it hard a couple of years ago because of that, and the school growth that was going on that I could see at
Yep.
kind of toward the end of the St. Catherine times. So it's definitely something I wanted to be a part of. I'm in this kind of new neighborhood that's being built up. It's right past where this gorgeous new football stadium that we built is, and this company came in and they built about 250 houses, maybe a little under that, 200-ish houses with about 50 more to go, maybe in the community as the town kind of keeps growing slowly. But it's a gorgeous neighborhood. It's super safe type of place where I'm not telling anybody to leave their door open, but you could potentially leave your door unlocked and not have to worry about anything here.
A
It's
little
it's just
different
that
than
small and
California.
safe. Yeah, a little bit different than San Diego, California. A little bit different price ranges too on everything. So I've enjoyed it. I actually, like I said, I bought a house here, and I've never bought a house before. My wife and I are first-time home buyers, so like we got excited when this opportunity came up to where like, hey, we could make some advances in life and
Yeah.
again put some roots down and settle down.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you giving me a few minutes. It sounds pretty exciting. I can't wait for basketball. I bet you're just chomping at the bit, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm excited for September 15th, and when you can actually start getting on the court with these guys. I hope by September 15th I can be walking around without a crutch or a limp after this hip surgery. And I know all my former players that are listening are going to get a laugh, but I probably won't be demonstrating closeout and slide drills. And this team might enjoy getting a break from that. I'll have to have my former player Tampa Scott out there demonstrating. He's one of our GAs. I'm going to
Yeah.
have him out there demonstrating the closeouts and the slide drills, and it'll be fun to see how much he can retain from year to year after like 3 years of hearing me say the same things over and over. So it'll be fun seeing that. But
You
yeah, the everything's going in the right direction. I'm excited as can be about getting out
you know,
there.
I was going to wrap it up, but I forgot. I did want to ask you about how big was that to be able to get Tampa Scott to come back there with you? It's somebody that knows your system, knows you, somebody you trust.
Yeah, it's critical for the culture and the teaching and the build up and the concepts. It's also critical for my staff. I got a phenomenal staff. I got a lot of experience in a lot of different directions on my staff, and having 4 people or 3 people with me, 4 with me total in there, like it's going to make for a really great first year of teaching, demonstrating, understanding culture. And the other thing I didn't really touch on is we brought, Desmond Botts over, who's a DWU transfer. He was the kid that had the huge game for us in the national tournament last year at Masters that sparked the comeback. So I think between Desmond and Tampa, I think those two will have a significant impact on, hey, coach does this. Hey, no, be quiet. Coach Williamson doesn't like this, or whatever. Like, those little nuances will help dramatically in the first year, having those two guys there that have seen my style and have been around me, and obviously Tampa, the ultimate leader in my opinion. Having him be a GA and around the guys will make for a much faster, cohesive bond, in my opinion.
Well, Coach Williamson, as I said, I really appreciate you giving me a few minutes. Once that season gets going, I got your phone number. I'll definitely reach out to you. You and I have done that before, kind of done it on the run after games. That's always fun. But I look forward to talking to you once the season starts.
Well, thanks, Billy. I appreciate it. And anytime you want to jump on a call, you've got my cell. You got the direct line. So
the bat
keep me in the loop. And I love hearing these. I love hearing these preseason talks. All these coaches, kind of what they rely on and what they do. I think you do a great job for the NAIA, and absolutely appreciate everything you're doing.
Well, thank you very much. That's Kevin Williamson. He's the head men's basketball coach, Dakota State University Trojans. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot to Kevin Williamson and to Dakota State University for that. Kevin's a good guy. You'll hear him on later. He's very accessible. I like to do post games with him when he's on the bus. All that's always fun. So we'll get him on again as the season goes. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.